DraftKings Showdown slate today, perhaps our last one for the NBA of the year, but we're going to do what we always do in the Splash Play channel, what we've done since the end of October when the NBA season started. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to some of the industry leaders, in particular, our friends over at Stochastic. We'll see what my data has, what their data has. We'll meet somewhere in the middle. We'll hop over to Unabated. We'll see what the best market-based bets are. Are there any bets you want to take today on your pick'em sites or on DraftKings and FanDuel Sportsbook? Of course, we'll run the DFS sim for Stochastic with my data not involved. By the end of this video, you know all the industry's must-plays along with my splash plays for today's slate. Let's get into it. I think I had no flubs in that one. It took an entire NBA season, but we got through an intro without me flubbing it, so we're killing it here. But let's get it going. Let's start with my data here, and of course, Stochastic data, as you can see on the screen as well. So go check them out too. A very high price SGA today, 14.2 salary. That's what you're getting for him in the flex spot. Overall, he made it last time out despite having that 14K salary. So here you're up a couple $100 more. Didn't get to 15K. So that's sad to see, I'm sure, for somebody out there. For SGA himself, I'm sure he was dying to get priced at 15 grand in a showdown on DraftKings. But here I'm flat with Field and SGA in the flex spot. 53.3% ownership for me right now. Fields at 53.3% according to Stochastic. So not a big stand there, not a brave stand, but certainly a stand for sure. At captain, though, I'm getting like no SGA in the sim I ran. So at captain, you have to spend $21,300 to play SGA, which I think does make it a pretty meaningful barrier to get there. 20.5% expected ownership for SGA. I got him at 6%, and that's with my projection being about 3 fantasy points lower, let's say, than Stochastic. So for SGA, I think there are certainly some merits in paying up to be contrarian there, but it's going to be a lot easier to fit in all the players you want to get, in particular if you're trying to get in your Siakams, trying to get in your Haliburtons with his injured calf, and we should probably talk about that too. SGA, though, at 14.2, hard to get their captain based on the sim I ran before the show. Shout out to chat. Shout out to guys like I Am the KY, who is a lovely contributor here on the NBA channel as well as the NFL channel. Appreciate them both. And I will be doing some NBA best ball drafting, or NFL best ball drafting, this afternoon. Stochastic, 3 p.m. and then the Splash Play channel at 4 p.m. where I'll be lighting one up and doing a draft. And shout out to OB here. Appreciate him being here live. Appreciate all you guys who are watching this video at this stage of the year, because there's not a lot of DraftKings Showdown content this time of year. And that's for good reason, because not a lot of people watch the videos. But I've made my commitment here, made my promise. And I think it's probably going to be our last game. No Scott Foster on the refereeing crew tonight. So they're not trying to extend it to a game 7 based on the referee choices. Let's talk quickly about Haliburton. We have to talk about Jaylen Williams, who did hit big for us last time out. Chet Holmgren, much less of a big hit. Pascal Siakam, big, not good fade last time out. But Haliburton, calf injury for him. So he's got calf tightness, a calf injury. If it does get worse, can lead to injury down the food chain of the legs, so to speak. That's not medical terms. I'm not a medical doctor, as you may guess from the fact that I'm wearing a money hat and doing a stream of gambling on the NBA Finals at 1 p.m. on the East Coast time today. Point being, though, for Haliburton, my concern would be for him with the calf injury. I'm sure they're going to wrap it up, make it tight, heat it, whatever you're going to do to try to make it functional for an entire game. Find it hard to believe he can play the full run of minutes here. I think Stochastic's 32-minute projection does account for that fairly well, though Haliburton did have that calf injury for most of the last game, and he still got to 34 minutes and change. So for Haliburton, the big thing is the effectiveness. He's already not a good defender. He's already a guy who's maybe had a harder time this series finding a shot. He's had some ceiling games, but not really, I think, reliably there. And last time out, only 20.25 PK points while having that calf injury for most of the game. Also only put up 4 points, 14% usage. I think Haliburton, if he's out there, I would say almost selfishly, honestly. It's hard to believe he'll be effective. If I were to full fade Haliburton today, I probably wouldn't be alone, and that's really the reason why you maybe want to play Haliburton. But 21% for me, Fields 27. Before the show started here, the reports came out from Shams Charania that basically he's going to try to gut through it, or the reports. That could mean he goes in and out. That could mean he's playing decreased minutes. That could mean he's likely ineffective like he was last game. I think it's a benefit for TJ McConnell. When I made the thumbnail this morning, wasn't sure if we would get Haliburton playing, because frankly, I do think with this injury, there is a risk of compounding the injury and making it worse for him, which you don't want to do when you made the conference finals last year, you made the finals this year. I think you want to make sure he's healthy and doesn't risk, hurting his Achilles or something down the chain if the injury were to get worse, or if he were to plant weirdly, overcompensate, litany of things that can happen. I get why he's gritting through it. I don't think he's a great play, but everybody else isn't going to think he's a great play either. So Haliburton, your most important player in the slate. He also certainly, his injury, his chance of playing less minutes, his chance of being ineffective. We saw last game TJ McConnell in that same situation. He only played 22 minutes, but 34.4% usage in that game, 18 real life points, had one of the very few positive plus minuses in that game because the starters didn't get there for Indiana's side. For how it all goes to Haliburton, he's your most important player in the slate, but I think he should be a fade, and McConnell should come up a little bit. In particular, if you're not playing Haliburton, give McConnell a boost if he doesn't make it in your lineup. If you are playing McConnell, you could still play Haliburton, I guess. But Haliburton, the big thing is like I'm under the field naturally with my projection, 21% in the flex. At captain, I am getting only 1% Haliburton Fields at 5. Like projection-wise, Haliburton doesn't like a great play to me. And I think too, knowing the injury stuff, having seen him with my own eyes and looking at the data after the fact, you got diminished Haliburton last game. I don't see how you don't get diminished Haliburton again. So that's a risk point. And we're skipping around here because I wanted to hit Haliburton up top and think it's an important one to hit. But Jaylen Williams, let's go back up here. Jaylen Williams, my big stand overall, was last time out. Certainly he paid off in a huge way with 40 real life points in that game. He ended up with 56 and change. DK points overall, made it as captain because he had enough of the ceiling there where you didn't need SGA 60 points. You needed to be able to cram in more guys with Jaylen Williams' salary. Salary's now up for Jaylen Williams as well, but he's been arguably one of the better players. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the series. I think you make the case. It's still SGA winning MVP, but you can make the case that Jaylen Williams is close enough. He is averaging 1.13 fantasy points per minute in the series. For comparison's sake, SGA is averaging 1.36. Haliburton's averaging 1.02. Pascal Siakam's averaging 1.3. TJ McConnell's averaging 1.3 as well. That's kind of crazy to see. But point being for Jaylen Williams, he's played well this series, though not quite as good as SGA. Big thing for Jaylen Williams, and I think what I see in my exposures right now, Chet Holmgren's a lot cheaper. If you do hit the Chet Holmgren ceiling game, it does cut a little bit into Jaylen Williams. But in the flex right now, I'm getting 47% Jaylen Williams, at captain getting 11, and the field's at 14. I'm above the field in the flex, a little bit under at captain. I think Jaylen Williams people will chase after last game. And I think if you were to try to full fade him, I mean, like I love Jaylen Williams as a player. He's obviously my number 2 projected guy here, which you could see on the board. The fact this is sorted by projection. But I do think for Jaylen Williams, like he was so good last game, and now you have the hype. Scottie Pippen had a quote. I think he was maybe on ESPN. I don't know where he was on. But mentioned like that, you know, he's could be even better than me. And like, I don't want to sell him short by saying he's only as good as me or only going to be as good as me. The hype is as high as it could be for Jaylen Williams. And maybe that means, you know, it's a sea change here. He's really establishing himself as the 1B, SGA's 1A. But more likely, he's the number 2 option. SGA is number 1. And SGA, I thought, played his best ball last game. The assists were there. The usage was still there at 33%. Put up 60 fantasy points in that spot. So I think if SGA does hit a true ceiling game, if SGA is at captain, I think Jaylen Williams' likelihood of making the flex is a lot lower. If SGA is in the flex, Jaylen Williams can still make it as captain. But boy, you are spending a lot of money to do that. And I do think at a certain point, trying to get different there, because people are going to play that exact same thing last time out. Winning lineup last time out was Jaylen Williams, a captain, SGA. You had McConnell making it. You had Siakam putting up 50 fantasy points in that spot again. And then, what was the last spot? I just looked at this before the show because I wanted to make sure SGA actually made it despite having, you know, the high point total there. Come on. I swear to God, whenever I want to pull up the lineup on the stream, it is always the slowest load process in the DraftKings app. And then sometimes I'll just get an ad loading and then the actual lineups won't load. My hell. My hell is pulling up the previous winning showdown lineup on stream here. I'm sure there's a way to do it quickly on web, but I know this is faster because I put in lineups. All right. Who was the fucking last guy? Lou Dort and Aaron Wiggins. That was it. That was the 1v1 that was left. Aaron Wiggins putting up a lot of points in a short period of time. McConnell, who we talked about, the bench guys being functional again. Not a surprise, but yeah, Wiggins, I think, was totally not in my brain at all. Dort put up 30 fantasy points last time out too. So Siakam getting 36% in the flex, 34%. Chet Holmgren, 43% in the flex, Fields at 37%. Holmgren is so much cheaper. Siakam's been a much better player in the series. I am right now getting 30% Chet Holmgren at captain, getting Siakam flat with the field at 7% at captain. I personally, I have enough Siakam here for him to be going to be above the field in the flex that I can live with that. Siakam's been your best pacer of the series by a pretty wide margin. And every time I expected, to be the bottom to fall a little bit like last time, he put up even more fantasy points, put up 50 in that game. So I'm finding it hard for me psychologically to fade Siakam. Data-wise, though, my projection, 1.5 fantasy points lower than stochastic. Again, talked about the rates for him. He's putting up 1.29 fantasy points per minute, but the usage still only 25.6%. The assist rate, 21.4%. Like, he's not been appreciably better than he was in the regular season. A little bit more usage. I think a little bit more in assist rate as well. Just confirming that real fast. Yeah, about 6% more in assist rate. So he's been better, but he's not been worlds better. So I'm not like sold on Siakam, but after last game, just didn't get enough of them. I'm happy to be with the field on him. Holmgren, it's a really big overstand for me, and I think really your big case for Holmgren would be a lot more appealing if Hartenstein had made the winning lineup. Hartenstein started so strong last game, put up, I think most of his fantasy points were in that first couple minutes that he had. I'm just going to do a quick little DK stat overlay here. Yeah, Hartenstein, put up 14.5 minutes in his first quarter stint, another 2.3 fantasy points for halftime, and the rest of the game put up about 6 fantasy points and change. So he was really good in the beginning. Then they brought in Tony Bradley, went a little bit bigger, didn't allow him to push him around quite as much. The second half, his minutes went down a little. I think because did he have foul trouble? He picked up a foul the start of the third quarter, then left pretty quickly for Alex Caruso. For Hartenstein, I just don't know that the minutes are there enough, but he was a decent play last game, so that might, maybe drive his ownership a little bit more and make Holmgren more appealing in terms of that front. But right now, for me, the main thing is like you see all these price tags. Out of all your key rotational guys that project pretty well, SGA, 14K, Jaylen Williams, basically 11, Siakam over 10, Haliburton over 10.5. Holmgren at 8,800 stands out like a sore thumb. So I'm happy to be above the field on him based on the price. He's not been a great play overall, but I think Holmgren offers something here where if Hartenstein's minutes go faster today, if they're not as good, Holmgren's probably going back to the 5 a little bit sooner. And he played 33 minutes, almost 34 minutes last game, so the minute ceiling's pretty good. I do think he pulls from Jaylen Williams. He certainly pulls from Hartenstein. But I think he pulls from Jaylen Williams, pulls a little bit from SGA, even though SGA's assist upside can kind of go hand in hand. But I think Holmgren is going to be my key player today, and I think he's one of your splash plays of the day, which surprises me, but I think it makes sense. Talked about Haliburton already. Again, injury concerns for him. I think really the big thing, if you were to zero him out, I would get it, but a lot of the field's going to do that today, so you're probably better off playing into the injury, especially if you're playing 150 lineups. I think you have to get. I would try to get above the field on Haliburton if I were really going hard after it. For me, at a 20 max, putting a few entries in the big tournament. If Haliburton is coming naturally, I'm probably not going to boost him to get in because I just don't think the calf strain is going to work out for him. Myles Turner has been awful to the point that people are now kind of clamoring for him to get traded from the Pacers or move on from them in the offseason. I think he's a free agent or restricted, one of the two. But for Myles Turner, he still put up 24 minutes and change last time out. That was with some foul trouble, I believe, in the first half. For Myles Turner, the big thing is that beginning of the series, he's getting a ton of shots up. He had like a 30% usage rate the first couple games. Last time out, he's down to 16% usage. He's also playing less minutes than ever. If you're going to play him, you're getting also a good amount of ownership, 34% for the field. I'm getting him at 33. At captain for Myles Turner, 7%. I'm getting 5. It's not like he's lightly owned either. So I think for Myles Turner, the big thing is that he has been getting his minutes jerked around. He lost minutes to Tony Bradley and to Obi Toppin in the last couple games. Siakam himself could theoretically play the 5 if they really wanted to try a different look here, given how well Siakam has played. And he does that a little bit from game to game, but your last time out, maybe like 5 minutes in the first half of Siakam at center. I'll pull up the popcorn machine so you guys can see it on the screen. I'm looking at a different version of it over here. People might be curious, so this is part of the process here. Yeah, so Siakam here was playing the 5 from the end of the first quarter into the second quarter because Tony Bradley came out. They didn't bring in Thomas Bryant until garbage time, and then Myles Turner was off the court. No, Myles Turner came back in. When did Siakam? I feel like they had Siakam at the 5. Maybe it's the second half. Yeah, second half they had him. There we go. Second half they had him at the 5. And it was part of the period where they were hanging in, came closer. I don't know. It just feels like naturally there should be more Siakam at the 5. But I guess if Hartenstein's playing well, that won't happen. But like with how badly Turner's played, I'm just not sold that it's going to be a spot that I would love to go crazy on Myles Turner. So being with the field in the flex, a little bit above it, whatever, a little bit underneath it, I think is fine. Myles Turner, though, like he's priced at a really nice level here at 6,200, kind of like Nesmith was last game, though he's even cheaper today. It's just that he's played really terribly, but maybe that's time to buy in then. Maybe it's time to go nuts on Myles Turner because like it's legit bad. Like there were Indiana beat reporter guys who were like, we need to trade him or move on from him because he's shown that he can't play in a championship level. I don't think the Pacers are going to be back at the spot anytime soon, if I had to guess. But Myles Turner's shown that he's probably not the guy. And shout out to all the chats. Appreciate you guys being here. My basketball icon is glazed. Glad to hear that. This is the last show. Thank you for a great year, Spags. I appreciate it. Look, if nothing else, plan will still be to come back for NBA season, but we'll see how the next few months go. And I still would like to do some MLB. It's just hard because like I'm not really in a flow with MLB right now. And the tournament structure has not been that appealing lately, for my opinion, but we'll see. Turns the stereo to some boys to men, end of the road for these streams. Yeah, well, if it is, if it is the last one, probably not going to be doing a game 7 on Sunday anyway. But if there is a game 7, I might be more inclined to show up one more time. I don't want to. I'm not ready for it mentally to be the end of the channel for now here because I think we'll still do something. But definitely have to focus more time on best ball for myself because I got to get my volume up on stream in July and August. All right, so let's keep going through here. Myles Turner, again, really could get jerked around again, could play more minutes if he suddenly starts hot. Rubber's being the road for Myles Turner, so I do think being with the field on him is still a good move. Alex Caruso keeps getting minutes in the second half in particular, where he is kind of stealing minutes away from Hartenstein, stealing minutes away from Dort, sometimes previously, though not so much in this series. Caruso, only 12% usage last game. He's not going to be the lights-out scorer, as we talked about as well. His true shooting was unsustainable in previous games where he had it like 75%, I think, before. He came down to 62% last with some bad shooting, I think, last game. So for Caruso, 62% true shooting now. He's playing more around where he should play. The usage, though, is down to 17%, 0.92 fantasy points a minute. I think Caruso, we've seen the best games out of. Being with the field on him, though, feels right because he's going to get regular rotational minutes. He can hit a ceiling again. It's just, I think with SGA dominating the ball more, Jaylen Williams, I assume, still dominating the ball. And if he doesn't, Holmgren should be able to get more for himself. I'm just not sold that Caruso, we see that peak get quite as high. But I would say for Caruso, might be a bit of a push-pull dynamic with him and Aaron Wiggins, because it's not surprising to me to see that Caruso gets the lowest usage he's put up in the series. Aaron Wiggins gets 22 minutes, puts up 23% usage in that time period. Might be a little bit of a thing where you don't want to play Caruso and Wiggins in the same lineups. Might be one of my things to do as a rule. And for Caruso at captain, don't think I got much of any if I had to guess. Caruso, 4% for me, captain. Fields at 4.7. Andrew Nembhard, 29% for me. Fields at 28.6. Nembhard should get more minutes today. I do think people will go nuts for TJ McConnell and Nembhard playing minutes because he's a good defender, taking some more point guard minutes away if Haliburton is hurt, if Haliburton goes to the locker room at all. Nembhard can be that guy. Nembhard's not been a great producer in the series. He was earlier in the playoffs, but in this series in particular, only 0.62 fantasy points a minute on 16% usage, 13% assist rate, 54.3% true shooting is basically flat average. He's not been good, but he's cheap enough at 6K. And I do think there's some ways where he can hit and be a lever against TJ McConnell on the thumbnail. I think Nembhard has some utility today at 6K. So he is a interesting play to me. 29.3% for my flex spot, Fields at 28.6. At captain, I got Nembhard 8%, Fields at about 5%. So Nembhard is a stand for me a little bit. Not a crazy one, but I do think is one that I certainly wouldn't strip any ownership away from him. Aaron Nesmith. So Nesmith last game basically was not splitting minutes, but it was him, Mathurin, and Ben Shepherd kind of taking the same swath of minutes from each other. It ended up being a thing where Mathurin got, go back to popcorn machine over here. Mathurin got, let me get rid of this fucking thing. Mathurin got 22 minutes. Nesmith got 24.5. So that's basically about 48. Ben Shepherd got 6 minutes on top of that. So we got a little extra with them, but basically you can see the rotation here. Nesmith came out, Shepherd and Toppin come in for Siakam and Nesmith. Shepherd comes out. We then start to get the Mathurin minutes because they wanted to get more offense in. Mathurin then plays the entire stint. When Mathurin comes out, Nesmith comes in. When Nesmith comes out again, it's Mathurin coming in. You're basically getting, these guys are like direct backups. In the second half, it's more pronounced, where it's basically Nesmith up here. Sorry, I'm clicking around a lot. The thing, the on hover is not helping. But you can see then we go to Mathurin, back to Nesmith, back to Mathurin, back to Nesmith, back to Mathurin, back to Nesmith, back to Mathurin for the blowout run. So Shepherd might get squeezed from the rotation entirely here. I guess it comes down to Haliburton's injury and what happens there. But Shepherd losing minutes in the second half, Nesmith and Mathurin becoming direct backups for each other. I think it makes sense to try to limit yourself to one or the other. Certainly, they both can hit in certain scripts, so like you don't have to make a rule necessarily. But for Nesmith, got a lot of him here. 51% fields at 37. I don't know I didn't massage anything here, so I don't know my Mathurin exposure yet. We'll see it in a moment, I'm sure, when I sort by value. But I do think Nesmith is a very key pivot point from Mathurin because Mathurin's played well enough in the series. And Nesmith as well as captain because of the price tag allowing you to jam guys in. I got Nesmith at 13% fields at 6. So for that kind of outcome, you're looking for really nobody cresting over 50 fantasy points besides maybe SGA. That's kind of way that Nesmith can win at captain, but not the biggest stand for me. Not the biggest stand that I want to defend, I guess is a better way to say that. It is a big stand for me. 2x the field at captain and 14% more in the flex. Nesmith is definitely one of my splash plays of the day. Obi Toppin, 33% in the flex, fields at 25. For Toppin, I'm also getting him 7% in captain, fields at about 3.5%. Toppin playing the backup big minutes, certainly push-pull dynamic with him and Myles Turner. But he projects for less ownership than Turner, so you're okay with that. Toppin also your direct backup for Siakam. Those minutes could get a little bit smaller because Siakam has clearly been a key part of the offense so far. Obi Toppin, though, I think a good play overall. Getting him in 2x the field to flex, 2x the field to captain rather, surprises me. Getting him 8% more in the flex, not surprised by that. And Hartenstein, strong start last game playing against the, the smaller version of the Pacers lineup, in particular when they didn't have Turner in. They brought Tony Bradley back in the rotation last game because Hartenstein was playing so well. If Hartenstein doesn't play well, you probably don't see Bradley play. They could go small. But for Hartenstein himself, he is pretty cheap at 5,400. Did make the winning lineup last time, so the ownership probably doesn't get crazy. Fields at 22% for Hartenstein. I'm getting 39. At captain for Hartenstein, not really getting much, only 3%, and the field's at 2. Let's sort by value here, and then we will do one last run through the betting markets. And hopefully we'll have an idea here. I mean, McConnell, how many minutes is he capable of playing is a different question. So McConnell projected for 19.7 right now. I think that's a fair projection, assuming Haliburton's playing. McConnell's not a great value anymore. I gave him the rates that he's had in the playoffs so far, where he's put up 25.4% usage, 43% assist rate, 1.3 fantasy points a minute overall. Wasn't enough for me to get a meaningful boost for him. I think now that we know that McConnell, and sorry, I'm not showing the right screen. Now that we know that that Haliburton is going to play or is going to try to play and grit it out, I think McConnell is probably going to end up a little bit overowned for what he is. And look, he's been gunning in the second unit the entire series. It's game 7. Usually in game 7, the starters would start to condense the rotation more. So you should be getting more Haliburton theoretically. But point being is like McConnell now not a great value. Projection is not super high for me. Above the field on him in the flex. At captain, I'm getting him 3% and change. The field's at 3% flat. I have no big pro McConnell stand here. I think he's an okay play. And I think really the thing that you're going to try to play him with is going to be, I think a lot of people are going to be doing today, which is like Haliburton's so hurt. McConnell must play more minutes. In reality, they could not do that, and it wouldn't be crazy either. If the Thunder are safely ahead or if they are building a big lead, McConnell's guaranteed to get a certain amount of minutes just because of the fact that like they need to get some offense going in the second unit, and that's what McConnell's been providing. But I do think for McConnell, I think he gets overplayed today. Again, I put him on the thumbnail because like the uncertainty around Haliburton. That uncertainty is going to make people not play Haliburton. They're going to make them overplay McConnell. I think that's where a Nembhard gains an appeal a little bit. That's where a Mathurin gains an appeal a little bit. Same thing to some extent where you could get leverage on the leverage if you play Aaron Nesmith over Mathurin. That's sort of what I'm expecting today is that McConnell gets overplayed because of the injury to Haliburton. McConnell's minute ceiling is probably not crazy high. And people are going to want to know, like, oh, could he get to 30 minutes? He's not going to get to 30 minutes in most situations. Unless Haliburton gets hurt, then they might. But even then, they're probably going to need defense at some point, and McConnell's not going to necessarily provide that over the course of, a lot of a game. Anyway, that's enough McConnell talk for now. Top values, though. Ben Shepherd's still top value, 13% ownership for me in the flex, fields at 13.4. Not crazy about Ben Shepherd because he did get squeezed from the rotation in the second half. But certainly with Haliburton banged out, Shepherd can provide guard defense. if Haliburton does go to the locker room or something, people will think immediately that McConnell absorbs all the minutes. In reality, you could get Nembhard taking more of a lead guard role, certainly with Siakam helping out as much as he can. And Ben Shepherd playing more because he provides decent defense. But worrying, to me, the worrying thing is just like from last game, not seeing him play in the second half. That's a little bit of a concern point. Kenrich Williams played last game about 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, 10 minutes, almost 11. Only put up 2.8 fantasy points in that period. Did not do much while he was out there. Basically, he's playing your backup four when Jaylen Williams is off and when one of Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren is off. He's not been terrible in the series. Has been mostly pretty good. Has put up 0.63 fantasy points a minute in about 33 minutes. Nothing too crazy. I think Kenrich Williams, one of those guys to me, interesting as a value play. Ben Shepherd makes more sense as a value play. But if Kenrich is going to be lower owned, I get going there too. I only got 1% Kenrich though, Fields at 10. So that's that. And I appreciate that, Squeak Diesel. Great breakdown. I'm trying. It's hard. It's hard for the final stuff because like really it does come down to you're trying to predict what, these coaches who are basically like chess grandmasters, how they're going to shift the pieces around. And the Haliburton thing really throws a wrench in it. But the McConnell Haliburton little sequence is going to be really important to figure out. And I think trying to play it different ways in lineups. So if you're doing the 20 max in particular, getting a few entries even in a big tournament or doing a 5 to 3 to 5 max. You want to have different looks with how that goes, I think, would be my approach. Thank you, Kitty. Love when she moves the entire desk. We're doing great. Lou Dort, 23% for me in the flex. Fields at 25 at captain. Can't imagine I'm getting a lot of Dort. You got 0.7% Dort, Fields at 3. Dort put up the 30 fantasy points last game. He's out there a bunch. He's one of your key rotational guys. At 4,400, he's also cheap enough, but the per minute numbers from the playoffs still not very good despite putting up that 30 points last game. 0.65 fantasy points a minute, shooting an unsustainable 73% true shooting as well. He's knocked down everything. I just don't think Dort today's the day to go there, but being with the field on it seems like the right move. In a sim, I get why that would happen. Mathurin, 7% for me. Fields 28 with him not making the lineup last game and McConnell is making it. I think that's certainly trying to get to Mathurin here would be a logical thing as your other bench, microwave scorer that they can go to. For Mathurin, though, it's talked about in the second half. You saw the popcorn machine. It does become a straight share between he and Nesmith in the second half of games. If they squeeze Shepherd from rotation, it could be a straight share the entire game. So playing both guys together, the price tags can make it work. But really, if one guy heats up, the other guy will play less. So if Mathurin plays well, less Nesmith. If Nesmith plays well, you're talking about Mathurin maybe getting to 10, 15 minutes. So that's just the main thing I keep in mind for them. But Mathurin has played well enough in the series. He's averaged 1.03 fantasy points a minute on 60% true shooting. He's been a bright spot. It's just that Nesmith plays better defense or more trusted defense, and that's kind of keeping him from getting a minute ceiling. Aaron Wiggins, we've talked enough about in the series that hopefully if you follow the videos, at this point. If you haven't followed the videos, though, basically high usage scorer. If he gets going off the bench, he'll earn more minutes. If he's playing terribly off the bench, he won't get back out there. So for Wiggins, 2,800, I think is worth the 12% flex ownership. I'm getting him at 9. Captain ownership, I got none for Aaron Wiggins. But I do think for Aaron Wiggins here, he is another interesting play, but he made the winning lineup last time. Usually that means he'll be a little bit over-owned here relatively. So jumping off Aaron Wiggins this game, I don't think it'd be an insane thing to do. But I don't know. Indiana's back. I thought it would happen last game. Talked about it a little bit last video. I think Indiana's back got broken last game, and now having an injury to Haliburton is not a great thing to have on top of it. I said it was going to be a blowout last game and ended up being a blowout. I don't think this is going to necessarily be a blowout, but in a blowout build where OKC runs away, Wiggins probably has a hand in that, I would think. This just tends to be how the game flow goes. The price on Nesmith, you can't avoid in the flex. He gets there 9 out of 10 times. If you're not playing Nesmith, I think Nesmith is a key play, but really being mindful of the fact if you're not getting Nesmith, trying to get Mathurin in would be what I would try to do, because at their price tags, Mathurin at 36, Nesmith at 48, one of them is going to get there, would be my guess. Really, the rest of the guys, not really values, but Holmgren, Turner, Nembhard, Toppin, Hartenstein, talked about all of them already. And McConnell safely down here. McConnell, a lower value, basically the same value as Kason Wallace. The projection's not bad at McConnell, but really got to be mindful about where you're putting him in. We're going to run the unabated bets. We're also going to run the stochastic sim in a moment. But guys, show some love if you can. Hit the like button, leave a comment. It all goes a long way for me here, whether you're watching live or after the fact. And join the Discord too, especially if you do want me to rally for MLB content. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not sure the views are going to be there, and I'm not sure I want to commit to a summer of doing it because basketball does take up a lot of time for me in the summer. But show some love if you can. Join the Discord. If nothing else, get in the Discord because we'll be talking about football, basketball, baseball in there. And of course, it does support the channel here and everything I'm doing as a content creator. So get in the Discord there. It's a nice place to be, and we've got a nice community building. If you join the YouTube channel, get immediate membership for $5, $4.99 really. Let's check it out. All right. OKC 114.3 implied points. Indiana 107.8. Nobody we didn't really talk about besides Isaiah Joe, whose minutes could certainly be gone again. They weren't there last game. Actually, we talked last video. I should give myself a little pat on the back. Thought Isaiah Joe would get squeezed from rotation. He did get squeezed last game. If they're behind, Isaiah Joe coming in is a possibility. If Aaron Wiggins fails, isn't shooting well, Isaiah Joe getting in is also a possibility. But I don't think he's a good play to go to today. Only 1.6% ownership for Stochastic. Not really getting there with the field. Indiana on their side, 107.8 implied points. Nothing to note that we haven't talked about. Tony Bradley, 1.1% for the field. I'm getting 0. That's basically it. Really, everybody we've covered at great length enough, hopefully to give you guys something to work off of here. But Bradley would look better in a lineup at 1,600 if Hartenstein is in that lineup as well. Because if Hartenstein plays more minutes and plays well, they'll dust off Bradley. If Hartenstein's playing poorly and OKC's taking him off the court, they're probably not going to even give Bradley a shot or any minutes at all. And last game, Thomas Bryant only played the blowout, so Bradley is your big man option you're going to get out there. I realize this is serious content. Would it kill you to bring the puppet out? It's just not a bit ideal unless I'm with Eric Lindquist is really the thing. I did one show with the puppet on the channel. You can check it out. But yeah, it doesn't have staying power. I don't know. I appreciate everybody loves the puppet. Really, I do. But it feels very specific to me in a way that, I don't know. just is what it is, man. I'm a specific person. Let's log in here to Unabated. You can see how their WNBA bets are going so far, going extremely well. You'll see me logging in. They don't steal my login. But Unabated here, we're going to check the market-based data, see what the best bets are. We'll run a sim on Stochastic, see how that's going as well. But I do appreciate people who like the puppet. I just don't know how to integrate it meaningfully. And I don't know that it changes my view count either or does anything. So that's sort of the main thing. But I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I just don't know. I don't know what to do myself in general most days. NFL season is really when I know what to do because I have like a locked-in content schedule. The rest of the year, I'm just trying to figure it out, you know? All right, we're going to see how points looks here for Unabated. Of course, using market-based projections. If you want to get the conditional projections on Unabated, the ones they make for premium every single day, you can check it out. Unabated 20% off link down below. I'd also recommend checking out the WNBA ones. You saw that graph earlier of how the numbers have performed for WNBA. I think right now you'd be up 16 grand if you tail the WNBA projection data, the bets they tell you to take. So check that out if you want to get some action in and if you want to pretend to support women, you know. If you want to be one of the people that talks about Caitlin Clark getting shoved in the face, play some WNBA bets with Unabated. That's probably what you should do. Let's see. All right, Aaron Nesmith, closest to playable bet here. For sim bets off of market data, you're normally looking for a 2% or higher ROI. For something off of a projection-based source, you're looking for a 5% or higher ROI. We're not really seeing any that fit the criteria, as we've talked about a lot here. The NBA Finals kind of becomes like the NFL season, where you have days for the sports books to sharpen up their line based upon what action's coming in, what the market movements are from other leading sports books like your Pinnacles, your Bet Chris's, your odds makers that are leading the way. The lines get really tight, so no points bets I'd really recommend. If you're hard up for something, the over on Nesmith points at 10.5, the under on Mathrid points at 11.5 seem like your best bets. Rebounds coming up next. Was there a Jay Daniels first-year difference maker in this past draft? We got to watch my best ball streams, Lee, but I do think Cam Ward is your closest approximation, but he's not. No one's Jay Daniels. Jay Daniels is the best prospect I've ever seen, and that's why I cape for him so hard. Rebounds bets. We got Andrew Nembhard, 0.35 rebounds. Why did I say it that way? 3.5 rebounds over. Not really playable. Yeah, these rebound bets, not over 1%. If you want a Nembhard over on 3.5 rebounds, you could do it. Kendrick Williams over 1.5, you could do that. But not really plus EV enough for me to, again, say that it's worth betting mathematically. Just a slight mathematical advantage, but that edge isn't really realized. I know from doing, again, probably my startup before, we did a lot of back testing on this, and I think we're ahead of a few sites. Now at this point, they've probably caught up and passed where we were at that point. But basically, if you are taking bets that are like 1% EV, 0.5% EV, you'll have these really big swings because it's not a market advantage. It is still a slight mathematical advantage, but it's not enough of one that will bear out over your winning, especially in a short sample. So just something to keep in mind if people care about this gambling stuff. Andrew Nembhard under 5 assists, 2.60% EV on this one. That's only on Prize Picks where it's under 5 assists for Nembhard. Certainly, again, some opportunity for Nembhard if Haliburton gets hurt. I would worry about the conditional side of that a little. But for Prize Picks right now, it is technically plus EV for Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard, that is, under 5 assists. TJ McConnell under 4.5 assists, looking plus EV, 2% EV for you on FanDuel Sportsbook. That's plus 104 odds. I hate the bets where it's like this much EV and minus 200. Here, at least you're getting plus money on it. So plus 104 odds on DraftKings. You're getting the same line at minus 115. So that alone here, not paying juice on that bet and getting some back your way. A really good bet to take for TJ McConnell, even though the EV is not huge. And PRAs, last but not least. You have anything for PRAs? Aaron Wiggins under 9 PRAs, looking best on Prize Picks, a rounded up 2% EV, so you could play that. You are getting about a 0.5 differential here on PRAs as well, compared to the other leading pick'em site, Underdog. But that's it. Wiggins under on PRAs at 9. It's playable. It's not a great bet. The other 2 bets and assists look better. But that's undebated market-based data. Of course, your traditional projections will come out at, 2:30 today? It's 2:30 Eastern, so check it out. WNBA data. You will make money using Unabated. You just have to figure out what product you want to do. And in particular, if you're going to make money with a site like Unabated, you got to strap in, you got a lot of volume down, sign up for different sports books as well. But really, the volume is the biggest thing. Getting in 100 bets at $1 is better than getting in 1 bet at $100. Being mindful of that if you are going to do any sort of market-based betting or projection-based betting, because you want to realize your ROI. You're going to do that more the larger the sample size gets. With products that you trust. Don't tail like fucking the bullshit. What is that outlier app? Like, don't tail that stuff. Like, don't tail that at a large sample size. You're going to lose. Tail good betting products at a large sample size if you can. All right, last stage of things here. DFS sim. We're going to build 5,000 lineups because it's a showdown. Have them compete 10,000 times. So we'll see what we get. And of course, guys, this is our last stage in our journey here. Maybe the last video of the year on this channel. Well, not the entire year, but last video of the NBA season, possibly on this channel. So show some love if you can. Subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. There'll be more coming from me on the channel. Just got to figure out what I want to do that's going to fit in my schedule that sparks joy adequately, that will also allow me to make enough money to do this. Because in particular, being sponsored by Unabated made the channel flow and made it make sense. Here I'm just doing videos. Got to make enough money off affiliate stuff, and I'm not sure the math is there. But I'll be here. Have no fear. I'll be here. If you get in the Discord, you'll get the most access to me. That much I can promise you. And frankly, if people are in the Discord, I know where the interests are, and there's gambling that I find interesting enough and, potentially money-making enough, I'm open to stuff. Definitely open to baseball, but I got to know, the effort's worth it, It's always the thing. All this shit takes time. Being good at accumulating knowledge in anything, I feel like takes time and effort. I try to be good at the things I do as best I can. Also, it doesn't mean you win all the money, but it does mean you don't feel like you're burning your money. Splash esports, yeah. Look, Splash Play video games, Splash Play pro wrestling, those would be really easy for me to do. I just don't, I just don't know that I have the audience there for it. And I don't know the YouTube SEO well enough to do that. I barely know the YouTube SEO well enough to keep my best ball shit afloat. I don't know. When there's a million people making the same videos, I don't know how that would go in video gaming. Let's look at our top lineups, so according to stochastic data. And again, we saw what my imprint of data looks like with a sim on here. But now you'll see what stochastic data looks like with no input for me. So you can basically take this as gospel for what a lot of people will be playing tonight from stochastic, besides whatever updates they put in later today. Number 1, you've got Chet Holmgren at captain, Andrew Nembhard, Ben Shepherd, Pascal Siakam, SGA, and TJ McConnell. So you're paying the price tag for SGA, but in the flex for this first one here, with Chet Holmgren as captain, a player who came up again for about 30% for me at captain. Number 2, Andrew Nembhard at captain, Chet Holmgren, Jaylen Williams, Myles Turner, Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell. So McConnell makes both the top lineup so far. He's in fact going to be in all 5, it looks like. Number 3, Alex Caruso, Ben Shepherd, Chet Holmgren, Jaylen Williams, SGA, and TJ McConnell. At number 4, Jaylen Williams, Ben Shepherd, Kason Wallace, Pascal Siakam, SGA, and TJ McConnell. So SGA and McConnell in pretty much every lineup besides this one. But number 4, Jaylen Williams, Shepherd, Kason Wallace, Siakam, SGA, McConnell. And at number 5, Chet Holmgren again, Aaron Nesmith, Ben Shepherd, Jaylen Williams, SGA, and TJ McConnell. So McConnell makes all the top 5. I am curious to see what the exposure is going to be here. highest ROI players. And for what it's worth, Stochastic was all over McConnell last time out too. He was their top ROI guy. He easily made it into the lineup. You're getting it here again. McConnell and captain, 7% ROI, your highest ROI guy. McConnell in the flex, 0.6% ROI, highest ROI player for the flex as well. And in fact, McConnell is your only positive ROI player overall for both spots. Number 3 is Chet Holmgren, a slightly negative ROI. Ben Shepherd, and that's a captain. Number 4 is Ben Shepherd in the flex. Number 5 is SGA at captain. Chet Holmgren in the flex after that. Pascal Siakam in the flex after that in terms of your highest ROI players. Highest exposed guys overall, all flex plays. SGA, 59%, fields at 53. TJ McConnell, 51%, fields at 26. So almost a 2x stand on TJ McConnell. Dog, I appreciate you laying your head on me, but we don't need that right now. Pascal Siakam, 45%, 33% for the field right now. Chet Holmgren, 41%, fields at 37. Jaylen Williams, 40%, fields at 38. So not really a big stand there, but all pro stands for the top 5 guys. Myles Turner, still getting about 30%, 29 and change. Fields at 34. Benedict Mathurin, 29%, fields at 30. So holding hands basically on Turner and Mathurin. Big stands on McConnell. Pretty big stand on Siakam. Everybody else just kind of with the field on. Highest exposed captains. SGA at 25% and change. Fields at 21. So SGA, a big stand by Stochastic right now in terms of captain ownership. I do think people are going to find a hard time paying for him, and I do think people will go to the cheaper guys. So I think there's some game theory logic on SGA. The price tag, though, is really brutal. Chet Holmgren, 19% of captain, fields at 13. I got a lot more Holmgren at captain, but I think SGA, Holmgren, 2 options that I'll have a lot of today for myself. Jaylen Williams, 11% of captain, fields at 14. Do you think the field will sharpen up to him as captain, given the fact he won it last time out as captain and put up 40 real-life points? TJ McConnell, 11% of captain, fields at 3. Playing McConnell at captain because if he hits well enough that, well, I don't want to say you want to only get your McConnell exposure at captain because it's not the wise move, but I would say getting half your flex ownership that you would get and giving half of that to captain and just hoping he hits enough of a ceiling, given his salary and the fact that like Haliburton could get hurt, leave the game, that McConnell's your primary creator who the bet at least becomes more clean then. I think this captain ownership makes sense. And I think getting like 40% McConnell overall and making it 15% captain, 25% flex, some split like that. I don't think that'd be a bad move, even if it were half your lineups with McConnell. Pascal Siakam, 10% of captain for Stochastic, and they're top 150. Fields at 8, so pro stand there, but not a big one. Nembhard at 4%, Fields at 4% and change. Myles Turner, 4%, Fields at 7. Your highest leverage guys overall. They want you to get the most above the field on. McConnell in the flex, 25% more. Ben Shepherd, 14% more in the flex, even though there is some minutes risk that he might just not play, given the fact he didn't play in the second half last game. Pascal Siakam, 11% for him in the flex, more in the field. So that is a big stand there. TJ McConnell, 7% more at captain. Chet Holmgren, 6% more at captain. SGA, 5% more in the flex. And SGA, 4% more at captain. So you are above the field for SGA on both. A Holmgren above on captain. All right, those are your stands. Negative leverage, guys. Big fade on Haliburton. Wow, only 4% of Stochastic's top 150 lineups have Haliburton. I really, again, think normally here the game theory of this, or not the game theory, just how you would play this is like Haliburton injured, played terribly last game with the same injury. Coming in here, calf strain's not going to heal fast enough to be good to go. You would think he's going to be a diminished player. If he's going to be not recommended by Stochastic, if he's going to be projected for only 27% ownership overall, he still has the same ceiling. He still could have your... I mean, Willis Reed didn't actually have a great fantasy game, I think, when he came off the wheelchair. But he can have his Willis Reed game here potentially, and that's probably one pathway where Indiana wins this game or keeps it really close throughout, and OKC doesn't blow him out. I think playing Haliburton is still a decent move. You're not going to get him naturally projections, but I think if you're playing a 150 set, especially if you're going balls to the wall, trying to win in a unique way in a 20 max or the big tournament, you're putting in 5 lineups and like you're willing to lose the money, I think playing Haliburton is a move with some upside, even though he's objectively, like last game, he was an awful play. I don't know if it gets better for him, but I think you're probably getting paid really big if somehow it did get better for him. If he just took some muscle relax, I don't know. You probably could take muscle relaxers. Yeah, he's doing some Quaaludes and hanging out. I don't know. If it plays better somehow, he'll win somebody a lot of money today, especially at captain. Like, I think you're not going to get any of him at captain, if I had to guess. Stochastic gave you 4% of captain as well. So you basically have 8% Haliburton in total between the flex and captain. That is such a huge fade on Haliburton. And that's going to be something a lot of their users happen today. Like they just don't play Haliburton. Aaron Nesmith, 29%. So you are fading him in the flex. Fields at 38. Still getting a good amount, but you are fading him in the flex. Lou Dort, 8% less than the flex. Obi Toppin, about 8% less than the flex. Kenrich Williams, 6% less than the flex. You're only playing about 5%. Fields at 10% and change. Myles Turner, you're getting less than the flex by 5%, but still a decent amount of him with 30% overall for Myles Turner in the flex. And Aaron Nesmith, 3% in the captain spot, but the field's at 6%. So they're fading Nesmith at captain as well. What do they get for Mathurin? Mathurin, 29% in the flex, 3% in captain, holding hands there. Not really big stands. I mean, the biggest stands, again, just real one more time. Big pro stand for McConnell overall. Pretty good pro stand for Shepard, Siakam, and McConnell at captain. And then negative leverage on Haliburton, negative leverage on Nesmith, Dort, Toppin. That's that. So that's Stochastic's view on things. I'll give you guys my splash plays one more time here, but show some love if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe. It all goes a long way for me here. Just one dude, just, really fulfilling my promise to you guys here. I think it's important as a content creator. When I say I'll show up and do the videos, I show up and do the videos, and I said I would do it throughout the NBA Finals, and we got there. So Game 7, a questionable status for me today, but we'll see how that goes today. Game 6 is probably our last one anyway, would be my guess, but we'll see how it goes. Show some love to the sponsors if you can, or our affiliate partners here. Stochastic, 15% off, link down below. And that's all their data, all their sim stuff, not just NBA. The deal you get here as well is the best one they have. A lot of the other deals they have, it's like you're off, the money's off one time and you're paying full price the next time out. That 15% off is in perpetuity. So it's a really good deal for you guys if you want to check it out on Stochastic right now. For 15% off, promo code SPLASH or link down below. Unabated 20% off, link down below as well. So check that out. I would recommend getting their overall market-based package if you want to use some MLB stuff. NHL's done. Golf, every sport that's kind of available right now. Their projections for NBA and WNBA are going to be the premium product you can get on there. And I really say if you're going to get those, commit to placing that volume of bets and tailing those numbers religiously, because that's how you'll actually make money off of it. But check it out unabated. And join the Discord too. $5 to join. You guys know the deal. Link down below. If you join the channel, easy to join on there. That happens automatically. All right, splash plays today. Let's look at my numbers one more time. Aaron Nesmith, I think, has to be one. Talked about before, if you want to try to play the opposite side of that, it does seem like Nesmith and Mathurin going to be splitting minutes. If you want to go the weird third option way, Ben Shepard, if he were to play extra minutes somehow, probably takes, assuming Haliburton's healthy, probably would then take minutes away from one of those guys. So that's the way to try to handle that. But Nesmith projects too well. He's too cheap. I'll take the shot today. Chet Holmgren above the field on significantly, captain, a little bit of a pro stand. I'm in the flex. Big stand for me on Hartenstein again. I really think that's okay if I'm going to have the big stand on Holmgren and captain. I think for Hartenstein, worry about that play a little bit, especially with Caruso not making the lineup last game, because certainly if Hartenstein doesn't make it, Caruso is more likely to make it kind of thing. Still like Jaylen Williams. Think he'll be chalkily owned today. I like this SGA guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. But those are the biggest ones I think that matter too much today. Fade on Mathurin right now, but I will certainly boost him in lineups where I don't have Nesmith. That's how I'm viewing things right now. And finally, because I know people sometimes tune in and out, for the McConnell stand for the day, I think you play him in lineups where you don't have Haliburton for sure. I think he gets over-owned for what the opportunity is. I think you're probably better off just trying to lose your money and play Haliburton basically. But nobody's going to play Haliburton today. So I think that people will play McConnell. Playing Haliburton, I don't know, man. Hard to play a guy with a calf strain, but if you have the balls to do it, maybe you'll win some money. Make sure to gamble more responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets. I'll be back at some point here. If this is, even if this is our last NBA Finals game, I just got to figure out what I want to do, and that's going to make enough money to justify the effort put in. I do appreciate all the guys who've hung out, really and truly. It's been nice to build a new community here, and frankly, a different one too, where it's like a lot of you guys have been very kind and appreciative of the information, the effort I put in here, and same thing back to you guys. Watching a video every day is a commitment too, so a lot of you guys have watched pretty much every video, and it's really nice to hear, and it really means a lot to me. So now I am getting like end of year yearbooky with you guys, but you guys are like ride or dies. We're watching this time here, so I do appreciate it a bunch. I hope you've gotten some value out of the process here, even if my picks are not always going to be 100%. None of them can be, but I really do try to work hard at it and get better at it. And I really think some of the stuff I learned end of year, really feel like next NBA season, assuming that I'm doing these videos again, feel like my projections are going to be popping off a lot better. I think I made some nice data moves for myself down the home stretch here, even though the finals has been tough for me, but the playoffs were mostly still made money on the playoffs. So feeling good about how the year ended, but wish I had more regular season is how I feel about how the year was ending. But that's it for me, guys, for today. I'll be on Stochastic at 3 p.m. doing a best ball draft on DraftKings, 4 p.m. A weed-based best ball draft on Drafters on the Splash Play Pod channel, so check that out. I'll see you guys again soon, and here's a nude egg. Just got to do it, I have to. But I appreciate all you guys who watch the videos. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Enjoy the NBA Finals, and I'll check the channel. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.